A Hall of Fame is a place that honors people that are exceptional at what they do. It exists to remind future generations of the greatness of these people from the past. Did you know that God has a Hall of Fame to remember the extraordinary people of faith who were written about in the Old Testament? And we can find that Hall of Fame in the New Testament of the Bible. Hebrews 11 tells us that faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. This faith is what gave people in the old days great fame. This faith is what puts them in God's Hall of Fame. By faith, Abel gave his best to God. By faith, Enoch walked with God and was a friend of God. By faith, Noah listened to God, obeyed God, trusted God, and did what's right. It was by faith that Abraham followed God, and that even Sarah, Abraham's wife, believed that God would keep his promise. It was by faith that Isaac promised blessings for the future to his sons, Jacob and Esau. And by faith, Jacob blessed his sons and worshiped God. By faith, Joseph believed that God would guide him and see him through every troubled time. By faith, Moses looked forward to the great reward that God had in store for him and led the people of Israel out of captivity. It was by faith that Rahab was not destroyed with the people in her city who refused to obey God. And it was by faith that Joshua led the people of Israel. All of these people became famous for their faith, yet none of them received all that God had promised. For God has planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. So since God has given us His Hall of Fame of people who have gone before us and had great faith despite hard times, let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who makes our faith perfect, so that one day God may say, "Well done, good and faithful servant," and we may be initiated into His great Hall of Fame.
It happened on the last Wednesday in February during 7th period here at Chamberlain High School, a Zoom meeting that will not be forgotten by anyone who was on it.
Separation is what you do off the field. How much you study, how much extra you're doing, like that's the separation.
Brad Holmes is speaking from experience. The Detroit Lions selected the Chamberlain High School graduate to be their general manager out of a pool of 12 potential candidates.
As a black man from Chamberlain, what was the most difficult challenge that you faced?
Holmes fielded 4 questions from 4 players, picked by the Chiefs' head football coach, Jason Lane.
What he's doing at the top is what we're trying to do at the bottom. You know, it's a challenging population, and what this program has done is chosen to be uncommon as young men and coaches.
A trait Holmes recognized within minutes of meeting these teens.
I had to dig deep to answer those questions.
The players admitted they felt nervous talking to him.
It was like the celebrity. It's crazy, like he was here doing all the stuff that we do. To know that he actually came to this school and, you know, we can relate to him in that way, it kind of helped me. I started stuttering before I asked my question, and then eventually I just got it out.
They asked him about his climb to the top, hoping to learn how he did it.
What was your why when deciding to play football?
Great question, I love it.
While Holmes shared his family inspired his passion for the game, Chris Wainert told me he dreams of playing in the NFL to take care of his parents.
Yeah, they support me a lot.
Support, from Chamberlain Chief to Chamberlain Chief. That jersey hanging in the background is there for a reason.
You want to give so much to the game that you live on, and he was clearly worthy of the honor. I mean, we almost made him cry. We tried hard.
The Chiefs retired Holmes' high school number 55, to honor a man who is always willing to answer that call from home.
It's a constant reminder of what our young men can achieve.
I could probably say this is probably one of my best moments in my sports career. So, just thank you so much.
Coach Lane is full of surprises. He invited some of Holmes' family members, including his mother, to join the Zoom, making it that much more unforgettable. In Tampa, Gabrielle Shirley, 8 on your side.
God of the turnaround, I am
Football has been my entire life. But there's no, hey, we need a scout for the Rams. Chase the dream, guys. Don't chase money. These kids these days, a lot of them, they want to just hurry up and make money. That's not how it works all the time. When you go through these tough times, don't immediately look at someone else. First, look at yourself, look inward, and figure out, is there something that I'm doing? I want to make sure that they understand what they need to have and what it takes, the work ethic, the intangibles, networking, connecting with the right people.
All right, ready for some football? The Bucs returning to Raymond James Stadium this weekend to take on the Detroit Lions after that bye week. And while everyone waits to see how Baker Mayfield does in Week 6, tonight we actually want to talk about one member of the Lions family because he's actually a hometown guy. Grew up right here in the Bay. Kevin Lewis with his story.
Lions general manager Brad Holmes graduated Chamberlain High School in 1997 and went on to be a standout defensive lineman at North Carolina A&T. Now, he told me he knew he wasn't going to play in the NFL, but he wanted to be involved with the game on some level. Unfortunately, he heard no everywhere he turned, so he took a job at a rental car place, lived at home, wondering if football was even going to be part of his future.
I never forget, I was sitting down in my mom's living room, and I was trying to watch a preseason game, and I couldn't watch it. And that's when it hit me. It's like, what am I going to do?
Holmes took an internship with the NBA's Atlanta Hawks, still renting cars, before his networking led to another internship with the Rams, still miles away from a full-time gig.
He interned for 2 more years. Finally, after the 3rd year, I said, Brad, you have to get a real job. I can no longer hold you on my insurance. And then, so he finally got a scouting assistant job.
Brad spent 18 seasons with the Rams, grinding his way up the ladder in the front office.
Kept my head down, kept doing my job, and I went from, scouting assistant to a combine scout to an area scout. I was able to go to a national scout and then become a college director, and it just kind of, the rest is history.
Brad's mom remembers the day her phone rang in January of 2021 when Brad called to give her the good news.
Just tears coming down my face. I was like almost hysterical. I just really couldn't even talk. It was like they finally recognized him for his talent. It finally paid off.
Brad barely moved into his office when he traded franchise legend Matthew Stafford to his former team in exchange for Jared Goff. And he's led 3 aggressive drafts to catapult the Lions into their current role of contender.
If anyone could pull this off, it could be Brad. And I remember the press calling me and they was like, yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about him? Can you tell me? And I said, what I can tell you about him is that he is going to help you win games because he understands players and he's going to get you some great players. And they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. She's just a mom.
It's not just Dan Campbell, but they have a general manager by the name of, I believe, is Brad Holmes. Jason, I've charted their last 3-4 drafts. This guy is Ozzie Newsome 2.0. From high draft choices, premium draft choices, to late round selections, this guy hits. And if you look at both sides of the line of scrimmage, They have premium players, all pro-level players, and they have solid contributors. I think this team's going to run away with their division, and they are absolutely a threat as long as they have healthy running backs, because that's key for Goff. Now, again, go back to our earlier discussion. Do running games matter, and do they help make quarterbacks better than they seem? Yes. And when Goff has had good running games, going back to Todd Gurley in that Super Bowl year, this guy can operate. He can slice and dice. But they stifled the Bucs, held them to 6 points, and it felt like they were in control. Jason, Detroit is absolutely real.
The Jordan River stood between the Israelites and their promised land. But the same God who miraculously delivered them from the slavery of Egypt would once again make a way where there was no way. It is time for you to separate yourselves from the things of the world that hold you back from God, Joshua declared to the people of Israel, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing wonders before your eyes. As God had been with Moses when he parted the Red Sea 40 years earlier, the Lord promised he would also be with Joshua. Inspired by this confidence, Joshua explained the plan that God had given him. "Here's what we will do," Joshua announced. "As soon as you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God being carried by the priests, follow after it." The Ark of the Covenant was important because it held the 2 stone tablets on which God had written his law, which showed his people how to live. It also held the promise of mercy and forgiveness when they failed to do what he commanded. This special golden box was the physical representation of the living God. It held the mystery and promise of a Savior. On this day, the people of God placed all their confidence and trust in him to deliver them, and God led them to the land he promised. When the priests who carried the ark approached the raging waters, they did not hesitate to step in. They were not afraid of what they saw with their eyes, because their focus was on the promise God had made them. With courage and determination, they stepped in. And God performed the most amazing miracle. God held back the waters of the Jordan River. From the moment the priests took the first steps into the troubled waters, they miraculously stopped flowing. Far up the river, at the city of Adam, the water piled high as though it were splashing up against an invisible wall. As planned, The priest stood on dry ground in the middle of the river and waited until all the people of Israel passed by. When the last of them had crossed safely, the priests followed behind. And when they reached the other side, God released the waters back into the river canyon as they had been before. God proved to Israel that there was no sea deep enough to hold them back from his promises. It was important that his people always remember how mighty and powerful their God was, so that they would have the strength and courage to trust him in the future. So God had one representative from each of the 12 tribes of Israel collect stones from the riverbed to memorialize this great event. One by one, Joshua placed each stone in a pile as he acknowledged God's power and goodness. In the future, when their children and their children's children looked at these stones, they would remember how God separated them from a painful past, how he built their faith and trust in his strength, how he brought terror and confusion to their enemies, and most importantly of all, this event held the promise of their final deliverance that would come through Jesus the Messiah.
We begin our story in 2009. Howard Ballou introduced you to Fred Burns. The Wingfield Falcon was homeless, but flew through adversity to shine its stew pot on the gridiron and in the classroom as valedictorian. One of the people in Burns' corner is Super Bowl champion Tyrone Keys.
I think what Fred has done is showed everybody that regardless of your setbacks, you can make a great comeback.
Burns has accomplished even more in the last 7 years. An engineering degree, going back to Stew Pot to donate computers, and following his dream.
So I work as a software engineer at American Airlines in Dallas, Texas, full-time. On the side, I make iPhone apps. That's my, you gotta have, they say you have to have a job and a hustle, and so programming is my passion. Mr. Keys, I've been there the whole way, and he's like, you know what, Fred, we need to find a way to keep this going for the next Fred Burns, or the next person coming behind.
Tyrone paid it forward to Fred. Fred is doing the same for Jordan Jefferson. The Callaway Charger is the winner of the first Fred Burns Scholarship Award.
I played football, soccer, powerlifting, I ran track. I'm the student body vice president, National Honor Society president. I'm in a lot of organizations at school. I would say it's very comparable on how Mr. Keys did with Fred. He calls me basically every day to see how I'm doing. His father figure as well.
Like Fred, Jordan is also a valedictorian. He also decided to stay in state for college to help his home state.
Mr. Keys has helped me out with a scholarship at Jackson State, so I'll be attending Jackson State in the fall. I'll be playing football as well, and I will be majoring in mass communication. This city is full of talent, full of potential, especially in JPS. There's so much that can be told out there. It's very special.
A couple of weeks ago, former Jackson State University student body president Jordan Jefferson said he got a message that offered him the opportunity of a lifetime.
My mentor, Tyrone Keys, texted me last Wednesday and was like, there's an opportunity for you to dance halftime of the Super Bowl. And he's like, I need you to be here tomorrow. I was like, what?
He said after that, he got permission from his job working with Congressman Benny Thompson, hopped in his car and drove 11 hours to Tampa, not knowing what to expect.
It's a lot of sit and wait, a lot of change this move, change that move, stand here, stand there, no, I don't like you there.
Jefferson was on the field for the final act of the weekend's halftime performance, one of the many dancers wearing the white bandages over their heads.
It felt like the first day of helmets for football, but a little worse. I kind of broke mine a little bit because my head is big to put it on, but yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
The former college football player says being on the field for the Super Bowl was amazing.
The crowd was going crazy, and then the fireworks, and saw some celebrities pass by us. I was just like, man, we're here.
He says he knows he was blessed to have the opportunity, and he never lets one pass him by.
The main part of this story is when an opportunity presents itself, how would you handle it? Would you be scared to take a risk, or would you just accept the opportunity and go?